And we're back at Usapang Bayan, and we're still talking about South Africa and what a beautiful and wonderful country it is, together with our guest, Ambassador Martin Slabber. So we will have another film clip that we'd like to show you before we proceed with our interview.
We've been very passionate about working with communities, and over the last few years have started working with crafters throughout South Africa, and it really has been the most enriching experience, because in a way, it's very easy to talk theoretically about how you get your inspiration from heritage and culture, but I think working with the crafters has enabled us to have a direct connection to culture and heritage through these amazing women who have got so many amazing craft techniques that they've learned over the years. So from beading to embroidery to texturing and dyeing of fabrics, all of those amazing things that I think Africa is so good at doing. So, for us, this has been a direct connection to culture and heritage. Obviously, we've always used silhouette, and we've always used all of the richness that exists on this continent as part of our inspiration.
Não contávamos que queríamos encontrar aquele calor humano que encontramos.
A viagem para aqui, para a África do Sul, mudou completamente a ideia que eu tinha da África do Sul.
Lindo, giro! South Africa is doce, maravilhosa. É indescritível, não tenho palavras, né?
A fazer compras foi uma experiência muito divertida.
Thank you. Uma vista maravilhosa. Respira-se aqui um ar puro, muito giro, tudo muito giro.
Os animais, assim tão perto, aquilo para mim foi extraordinário.
Quando vier à África do Sul, peça um mapa e desfrute daquilo que a África do Sul tem para oferecer. E recomendamos a alguém que quiser vir à África do Sul que não se vai arrepender, porque
And we're back. As we saw in the video, it's such a very interesting country, sir, South Africa. Well, I would like to ask, sir, last August 1, you visited DFA, is that correct?
That's right, yes.
Yes. And you reviewed the status of various joint projects that are being pursued by South Africa and the Philippines. Can you give us an idea what these projects are?
Certainly. I mentioned at the beginning that our relationship is fairly new, and that we have established a foundation, we believe, and that we can now start building on this foundation. So we have a number of projects with the Philippines that we are very keen to pursue. And these are, for example, in areas of science and technology. We have in South Africa noticed that the Philippines have really made quite big advances in space science, for example. You recently launched your first satellite, the Duwata satellite. And South Africa also, we have launched a number of satellites already, and we have established our own National Space Agency. So we had good discussions with the Philippine government, both the Department of Science and Technology and the University of the Philippines at Diliman, about collaboration in space science, but also in forestry, in renewable energy, in issues of food security. That's one area. Then, just on the other side of the spectrum, I had the opportunity a few months ago to pay a visit to Ilocos. What a fantastic place that was, and what an experience it was, particularly, to visit the town of Vegan. Let me tell you something else about South Africa that maybe you didn't know.
I'm sure I don't know about that. Go ahead.
When Vegan was named one of the 7 wonder cities of the world, one of the other 7 was a South African city. And I spoke with them both, with Governor Singson, Ryan Singson, and with the mayor of Vegan at the time, about the whole issue of heritage tourism. Because heritage tourism is more difficult than what it may appear. And on the one hand, you want to protect your heritage. You want to make sure that this historic treasure that you have is protected. But on the other hand, you want to enable people to see it and to experience it, and also to make money from it, because it costs you to maintain your treasure. So we have similar, not as old and well preserved maybe as vegan, but we have towns in South Africa that still look the same as when they were first established, you know, by the mining companies. So you have old mines, you have the buildings, the hotels and so on, look exactly like they did all that time ago. And the discussion was around the fact that perhaps we can learn from one another in heritage tourism. How do we go about protecting our heritage? How do we promote tourism, heritage tourism specifically? It was one of the discussions that we had in Ilocos, but also with the DFA during the meeting that you referred to.
Sir, both countries also planned for the fourth meeting of the Philippines-South Africa Bilateral Consultative Forum, is that
That's
correct?
right.
Which is scheduled to take place in Manila later this year. Can you
Yes.
tell us more about this, sir?
We have established this forum some time ago, and as you mentioned, the 3 meetings have taken place already, so it's time for the 4th. This forum gives us the opportunity to have an interaction between the two governments at a fairly high level. So what will happen at the time of the 4th meeting is we will come from South Africa with all our government departments that have some issue with the Philippines. I've mentioned now about heritage tourism and science and technology. So our science and technology people will come, our DTI will come, tourism, agriculture, all the areas where we collaborate. We will bring the experts in those fields to the Philippines, allow them to have discussions with their counterparts here and see, okay, this is where we are. Now, what do we do to take this relationship one step further?
Yes.
So that's the whole idea of the consultative forum.
I'd like to take this opportunity to ask you, Mr. Ambassador, what are the things that South Africa needs from the Philippines, whether it's raw materials, professionals? What can the Philippines offer to South Africa?
We have, in our strategic planning as an embassy, we have identified 5 strategic objectives. And one of them relate to areas in which we believe we can learn something from the Philippines.
Interesting.
And there are 3.
Yes.
South Africa, if you can imagine, we have a coastline of 2,500 kilometers, which is much smaller than the Philippines. I mean, because of the many islands that you have, your coastline is about 36,000 kilometers, if I'm not mistaken. We depend on the sea for 90% of our trade, but we only have about between 2,000 and 3,000 seafarers,
I see.
if you can imagine.
Yeah.
The Philippines, of course, one out of every 4 seafarers in the world is a Filipino.
Probably more than that.
I have seen figures that maybe as many as 400,000, there are as many as 400,000 Filipino seafarers. We have realized that if we want to improve our situation in South Africa when it comes to the ocean economy and our trade, we need to train more seafarers, and we do not have the capacity to do it. Here, there is ample capacity to do it, and I've already met with the
Maritime
authority
educational
here.
institutions.
I went to Cebu. I met with the University of Cebu and Southwestern University to speak about training for seafarers. That's the one area. The other area is aquaculture, which is also a new industry in South Africa, just starting, and we had already sent experts here to meet with BFART, Forestry,
Bureau of Fisheries.
Fisheries and Aquatic Resources. Yes, I think that's the right name. With SEAFTEC in Iloilo,
Yes.
the Southeast Asian Fishery Development
Yes.
Center, to see how we can benefit from what you have already accomplished in aquaculture.
I see.
And the third area that we have identified is in shipbuilding. Because
Yes.
many people, I think even Filipinos, do not know that the Philippines currently is the 4th largest shipbuilder in the world.
That's correct. Yes.
And again, this is an industry in South Africa that is just starting. We build a lot of luxury yachts that we export all over the world, but we do not build the bigger ships.
Right.
And of course, it is not only about building the ships, but it is about all the other affiliated and related industries that come with your shipbuilding industry. So those are the areas that we have already identified and already working on as far as trying to benefit from the Philippines.
Are you going to encourage people to people from South Africa to come to the Philippines, or people from the Philippines that will go there to teach you these things?
Both ways, really. In the, on some areas like the science and technology areas, we had, at the beginning of June, we had a delegation here in the Philippines. So we had discussions, we came to certain agreements, we said, okay, now the next step for us is to do ABC. And it was agreed at the time that now the Philippines will go to South Africa, because it's important also for you to go to a country and see for yourself.
That's right.
You
Yes.
know, if you just receive people and they tell you stuff, why would you believe them? But if you see it, it is better. So here the Department of Science and Technology, for example, have agreed that they will visit South Africa. Whenever we meet with chambers and so on, we invite them to go. The Cebu Chamber of Commerce was in South Africa at our invitation. And I think that just helps to enhance the knowledge of one another.
I know this is quite a hard question, sir, but I have to ask this.
Yes,
Has South Africa developed a stand on the Philippines' territorial dispute with China?
we did not issue any formal statement after the announcement by the tribunal on the arbitration case. But as a matter of principle, South Africa has always supported a multilateral approach towards solving international peace and security issues, and we have taken note of the fact that the government of the Philippines now have said that what needs to happen now is we need to talk to China, because otherwise you are not going to get anywhere. And I was interested the other day listening to Foreign Secretary Yasai at a luncheon. He was saying many of these issues will not be resolved in our lifetime. So there is an appreciation that this is not something that is going to be finished tomorrow. It is going to take some time. So we are supportive of we are a signatory to UNCLOS, the Law on the Sea. So we will respect the outcome of the court case. We support that the fact that the two countries should now talk to one another. And I have to mention also that we have a very good bilateral relationship with both the Philippines and China. Like you also, I mean, the South China Sea issue is not the full extent of the relationship between Philippines and China.
In the case of South Africa, does South Africa have any territorial disputes or internal conflicts that it's currently facing?
No, no, we do not have border disputes with any of our neighbors.
Very nice. You're very fortunate.
We are happy.
Sir, are you optimistic about an improved relationship between the Philippines and South Africa under the administration of President Rodrigo Duterte?
Of course we are. It is not that we've had a bad relationship before. We've had a very good relationship and very good cooperation from the government of the Philippines. And we hope and we believe that there is no reason why this would change under President Duterte and Foreign Secretary Yasai. The programs that we have will continue, they will be expanded. And I have found really in both the brief discussion I was able to have with President Duterte himself and with Foreign Secretary Yasai, there is an interest in developing the relationship with South Africa.
During your stay here in the Philippines, sir, what areas do you think need improvement?
You know, something that has struck me about the Philippines is I'm new to not only to this country but to Asia. I've been in the Foreign Service a long time but never to Asia. And I didn't know much about the Philippines, but I see so many similarities between South Africa and the Philippines. And the challenges that we have are the same ones that you have. Inequality. Some people are very wealthy, some people are very poor. How do you close the gap between the two? We have the same issue. Poverty. How do you lift people out of poverty? Unemployment. If people are employed, have their own income, they can look after their families, their sense of self-worth improve. Those, other than the traffic, other than the ETSA. But I think those are challenges of the Philippines. It's not unique to the Philippines, but that's also why you know, it is important for countries to have good relationship with countries of the north, with developed countries. We can learn and benefit a lot from them. But if you have similar challenges, your solutions is also more or less the same. That's why it's so important for countries like South Africa and the Philippines to have a good relationship.
Well, Mr. Ambassador, we're almost at the end of our program. We still have a couple of minutes. Maybe we can ask you to address our viewers directly on how they can get in touch with the South African Embassy to get a visa, and you know what, if they have any other economic questions or any issues with the South African government, maybe you can address them right now.
Thank you very much. Well, let me, before I do that, thank you for the opportunity to come today and to speak about South Africa. I cannot believe the time is over. I've had a lot of fun, and I can speak for the whole day.
Time
about
flies
South
when you're
Africa.
having fun. Yes.
That's right. Even television interviews is more fun in the Philippines. Well, to answer your question, South Africa has a embassy in Makati City in the RCBC Plaza. Most people who live in Manila and is familiar with Manila will know where it is. We have a website which offers information about our visa requirements, also visa application forms at southafricamanila.com. We also have a Facebook page where we post information about what the embassy is doing, about events that we arrange and which people can attend. So people can just do a search for South African Embassy in Manila on Facebook and they will find us there.
Well, thank you very much. And that brings us to the end of our program. And certainly we enjoyed the discussion about South Africa with the Ambassador Martin Slabber.
You can follow us on Twitter at GNN Usapang Bayan or search our Facebook page Usapang Bayan. I am Rach Marquez.
And I'm George Chua. Join us again in another episode here in Usapang Bayan.